I'm the Joker from the movie Joker. All right, guys, highly requested. This one's called Can Fat and Fit Influencers Find Common Ground? I wonder why this video is highly requested of an obese man. Who would have thought? Hey, Papa Gut, can you look at this? Can you look at this video? I mean, come on. What do you guys? You guys just want me to be a pick-me? Frick you, dude. I'm more than that. Anyway, all jokes aside, this is very interesting because if you look at me, like, I would be considered a fat influencer. I'm a fat person, and I guess I have some influence. But I'm going to assume they're talking about people who promote body positivity. And I don't like people who promote body positivity, honestly. And I'm going to tell you why. I think, as a society, we should leave fat people alone. Leave them alone. We're people, all right? Leave us alone. We don't need your constant comments about our bodies. However, a lot of body positivity advocates, which are really fat positivity advocates, don't talk about the struggles of life. Okay? Life can be rough. Life is rough when you're fat. It's unhealthy. That's just the reality. All right? Nobody talks about that. Talk about it. It needs to be talked about. If you're 400 pounds, you're not healthy. Yeah, you're a lot more than that. Very funny. You're not healthy. Like, I have diabetes. I do my best now to eat like a better diet where I don't really eat sugar and I eat whole wheat. But clearly, I'm still fat. So if it's not, you know what I'm saying? And I understand for older people who are overweight, because I am an older person that's overweight, it's one of those things where it's a learned behavior and it's difficult to get through because you get to points where, you know, like you'll use food to stress eat. And obviously I have a self-control problem. But at the very least, you should be advocating to young people who might be on a similar trajectory that you are to not go along with that trajectory. You can say, like, listen, from experience, it's not good to be this heavy. You gotta, like, do an alternative. Go start walking every day. Eat a little better. Try not to eat too much sugar. Don't drink soda, even diet soda. Maybe try to go to the gym. You know, stay active. But you don't see that from a single, like, fat influencer. So, let's get into this.
Love middle ground?
No.
The opposite side has of me is that I have some agenda to keep people fat, to promote obesity, to tell anybody anything about their size.
Okay, I just want you guys to notice what just happened here. There's 3 fit influencers, as there usually is, but there's only 2 fat influencers. I wonder if they don't actually usually do in 3 and 3, and like they usually go by weight. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe there's a weight requirement. I don't know. Maybe combined these 3 weigh as much as these 2. Who knows? Jesus Christ. There was supposed to be a 3rd fat person, but they ate the 3rd one. That makes... I thought you were serious. Holy shit. Waiting for the Papa Gut arc where he's on a Jubilee video. Yeah, pull me in. I'm a fat influencer. I actually look fucking swole right now, bro. Let's get into this.
Step forward if you agree. I promote healthy standards as an influencer.
You know, that gets into a very interesting conversation because you can make an argument that some fit people aren't really necessarily healthy. I know that sounds weird, but I guess this really comes more when you're like a super top tier bodybuilder taking a lot of PEDs and like you're on a fucking respirator and you know all this other stuff. But for the most part, obviously somebody who's fit, that's an outlier. Most people who are fit are healthier than people who aren't, you know? Don't do it. Don't. Oh, dude. Bro, what are you doing?
We need to discuss what healthy means first.
I think that we could all agree that healthy means your body isn't killing itself. Can we all agree on that one? I'm not shaming fat people, but like if you can't acknowledge your problem, you're always going to be fat, and it's not good to be fat. Come on. Like, what?
Well, technically, the mental health stress from criticizing fat people really hurts my feelings. And so if you think of it from that way, shut up.
Because healthy means many different things.
Not really.
So, like, what does health mean to you guys?
Generally,
For me, I don't focus on diet and weight loss as a tool for health and how I communicate that.
I mean, like you kind of should eat a reasonable diet. You don't need to go on a diet to have a good diet. A diet just means what you eat. A diet, in their context, is like, oh, Weight Watch. You don't need to do that. You could literally just drink water instead of soda and just eat like brown rice and brown carbs. And you don't have to really track your calories unless you're obese. Most people can auto-regulate by just eating healthier foods that are more nutrient dense. Eat more vegetables and like whole grains. Try to cut out most of your sugars and like don't eat white carbs, and you'll probably be fine health-wise, unless you're somebody who's really overweight. It's not like a lot of fat influencers like to conflate like diets with like these toxic eating habits, but you don't need to do that much. You know, you just need to do a little less eating, if anything, honestly.
Focus on movement and finding movement that works for you, that feels good and is sustainable in your body. Because ultimately, I think everybody would agree, movement is healthy, exercise is healthy.
Sure. Also, I wanted you to understand another thing, and this is one of the problems with a lot of young fat influencers, is I'm telling you from experience, when you hit 25, your body shifts down a hill like nothing else, okay? And the problem is you have a lot of younger fat influencers who don't understand how much their obesity is going to devastate their fucking body once they hit 25. I mean, it's really true.
In the fitness world, and I myself am a yoga instructor, so I kind of straddle both sides. I think there's an overemphasis on physicality and diet and exercise.
Personally, I'm a fat guy, and I've been tired of being a fat guy, and I've actually been told
How the fuck is this guy a fit influencer? What does he do?
that my approach to it is a little bit extreme. So I'll do
What do
like
you do?
24-hour fasts. I'll do
that's dumb.
intermediate fasting.
That's
liquid
dumb.
diets, things like that.
Like, intermittent fasting is fine, but like liquid diets are stupid. You don't need to fast for 24 hours. That's just stupid. Intermittent fasting, I think, is just the idea of like eating within a small window. Like, oh, I'm only eating like a 4 or 5 or 6 hour. It's like whatever, as long as you're eating your calorie requirement and you're eating like healthy, who cares? But this guy's just a fucking idiot.
Some people
How did they manage to find a fat, fit influencer? Like, what's happening? Is he losing weight? Maybe, but he's not losing weight because of the liquid cleanse diet that just gives him horrible diarrhea.
say it's an unhealthy habit. They say like I got an eating disorder, but at the same time, I am seeing results. I do feel like I can run faster, jump higher, walk longer. I kind of feel like when I hear the term fat influencer, I'm thinking like an unhealthy standard being set. I just can't get behind being complacent.
Well, I want to say that it doesn't mean complacency, right? So
Yeah,
a
kind of.
little bit about me is that I was a 3-sport athlete almost my entire life, went to college and played a sport. And then I decided, I've always been, a big person, and I was able to manipulate my weight because I also wrestled. So I would bulk up for football season, lose for wrestling, and rinse and repeat. Because of that, though, now my approach is really just about making sure that you take care of your total self. So your mind and your body. And
I will say one thing: the healthiest I ever was when I was like 330, doing like lifting weights and doing moving in events and whatnot for like strongman stuff. So yeah, I suppose it is possible to be overweight and still healthy, but it does still. The thing is, though, is that food is fuel for your body. So if you're fat, you require more fuel, which gives your body more. Is a higher chance of that. If you put negative fuel into a skinny person, they're simply eating less. So it's going to have less of a negative impact, if that makes any sense. So when you're a big person, you need to be additionally aware of what you're eating. So this is one of those things. How much do these fat influencers say, like, hey, it's okay to be fat and you can be healthy, but it's hard? Has anybody ever said that before?
And also just making sure that you check in with, medical professionals. I work in healthcare, and so I don't tend to take advice from people who are not medical professionals.
And I would just like to speak up Like,
Isn't that ironic?
we're all different.
He's like, hey, I don't take advice from people who aren't medical professionals. It's like, okay, but you're a fat influencer, so you're not a medical professional, are you?
Influencers out there that have
So why should anybody take your advice? This is a weird argument.
unhealthy lifestyles that share it, but that's their lifestyle. There are fat influencers that are motivational, that are trying to lose weight.
Sure.
There are fat
Or that is,
influencers
you?
out there that just are existing in this world and trying to make it.
But we know most fat influencers are like body positivity models, like Tess Holiday. They were like 400 pounds and they claim that they have fucking anorexia. You know that.
Accommodating to themselves and people that look like them. So there are so many fat people.
Like, this is the problem with some of these middle grounds. Is like, you know that there could be these people seem to be like fit fat influencers where they're moving and they're doing like a lot, which helps them, but they're not pulling on the people who don't do a goddamn thing, which is most of them. He's a healthcare worker, Papa. Well, fucking fuck me in the face with a knife. I don't know what you want me to tell you, dude.
In this world.
Good point. Thank you for the catch.
And to like label them all a certain way or to put them in a category where they have to perform to make you feel comfortable is disingenuous. It's not good.
What did she say? I wasn't listening.
In this world, and to like label them all a certain way or to put them in a category where they have to perform to make you feel comfortable is disingenuous.
Well, I don't think anybody's saying that you have to perform to make them feel comfortable. It's just that generally, the overwhelming majority of fat people are fat because they're just not doing enough. We have to keep that in mind. Like, we have to keep in mind that fit fat people are an outlier to general fat people. And fit skinny people are an outlier too, because some people just eat less. But you're better off being an immobile person that eats less than eats more.
It's not good.
That's what kind of upset me. That's why I started my journey at the end of the day, was because, I was depressed. I lost my job in the midst of COVID, and I'm unhappy with who I am. And then I see someone on social media that's like, it's okay to be who you are. And I was like, you're telling me that the way I feel.
Yeah, obesity is like the #1 killer in America, and that's one of the problems. And that's a lot of people's criticism, is that people, you look at like a fat influencer, and they're not being honest. They're not saying, hey, we're really healthy and we do a lot to maintain health, that we have to do more than a skinny person. They're just like, this is totally fine. And they give you kind of like these very generalized, obscure messages. It's like, it's okay to be fat. And like, yeah, but that means different things to different people. So to these people, saying it's okay to be fat seems like they load it with like, yes, it's okay to be fat as long as you stay active and eat relatively healthy. Like, you can manage your shit. But to the average fat person, when you say it's okay to be fat, they're like, this is fine. My current lifestyle is totally acceptable. And I don't think that we talk enough about the different way that different people interpret different messages. And that's the problem when you give out very vague messages. You need to be more specific and get your point across, because unhealthy to be fat, generally speaking. And if you want to be healthy and fat, you need to exercise and you need to eat well.
It's okay, but at the end of the
Papa, I'm eating ice cream while watching this. Fuck you. Shut up.
day, I hate how I feel. And so it was kind of out of protest that I started this journey. And I'm damn glad I did. At the end of the day, you're doing a disservice to the people around you that care about you, whether it be close, relatives.
This guy said he's eating his girlfriend out while watching me. That's disgusting. Why? Why would you watch me while you do that, dude? What the hell's the matter with you?
Society, etc. And to see someone use a platform like that as a fellow fat kid my entire life, it just pissed me off.
I
hear what
hate
you're saying,
this
and
guy's
it's valid.
haircut.
I've been fat my entire life. I was a fat kid, fat teenager.
I hate what you're saying, but it's valid, and it's valid. But like, don't tell people, dude. What the heck? Come on.
Fat adult, just fat. And that is not my story. And I see that played out over and over and over again in the world, in art, in TV, in movies, like the sad fat trope. Nobody's gonna want you.
Yeah,
and that
true.
plays into the way we treat fat people.
But that doesn't really play into how we treat fat people. That's more of like a representation of the way fat people are treated. So I don't like this narrative that, like, basically, according to their line of logic, we created movies that said that fat people were like untouchable or whatever, and that's why people don't like fat people. It's the reverse. We made those movies to represent the way society feels about things. Nowadays, people are being more sensitive, but the problem is you want to know the biggest reason why people are more accepting of fat people is because we have a fucking pandemic of fat people in the United States. It's the #1 cause of death is obesity, and so like that's why it's becoming more normalized, because it's way too normal to be fat. It's bizarrely normalized. It's not a good thing. It is very much a first world problem. And now you have people living in first world countries advocating for issues that only exist. Like, hey guys, I'm really fat and It's unhealthy, but like, love me and this and whatnot. Don't judge me. And it's weird. It's kind of weird when you put it into that perspective, especially with countries that are richer. Like, we need universal health care. It's like, you realize that fat people are going to stress the system out considerably, right? It's a factor.
Everybody's story. So to like, I hear that you were sad, you were unhealthy, you were uncomfortable, you were isolated. Like, we can all relate to that. But that is not the story of every fat person.
It's the story of most fat people, though. Like, that is the general story. I'm not shitting on fat people. I'm just saying I hate these fat influencers.
I am on a journey to like myself in my skin. And that is something I believe is obtainable through hard work and dedication. I mean, nothing else worked.
I hate your haircut, bud.
Loving yourself.
I hate your mustache.
Made me eat KFC 3 times a day.
Nice.
And gain a lot of weight and turn sedentary. Hating myself.
I think the biggest criticism of this video is, like, we all know Popeyes is objectively better than KFC. This isn't a debatable thing. Popeyes is better than KFC. Objectively. I know what the word means, and I'm still using it. Okay?
Encouraged me to be different and encouraged me to change my life. And as a result, I've influenced thousands of kids younger than me's lives.
How soon till the government mandates what we can eat? So the way that I would say the government should have a control on what we eat is just to implement a sugar and a fast food tax. I think fast food is really unhealthy for you. I think sugar is very unhealthy for you. So implement a tax that charges a little bit more for those things. Take that money and use it to pay for fat people's health care.
Fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming.
That's an interesting question. Fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming. That's a very interesting question. So here's the problem with that. If you look at it, more people are fat shamed than skinny shamed. So people are going to say fat shaming is worse because it's happening more. The thing is, though, is that it's worse to shame somebody for being skinny than fat, because generally speaking, being skinny is going to be healthier than being fat, right? At the end of the day, though, these are both bad things. You shouldn't shame fat people. You should just, like, explain, like, hey, there's reasonable methods to be healthy.
When you thin shame somebody, it is based off of...
Is she going to go into, like, a systemic argument?
Aesthetic. Like, oh, you're so skinny. Yeah. I wish I could be like that. I wish I could eat whatever I want and stay skinny. There are these...
That's not what people do. Most people who eat a lot and stay skinny are people who eat a lot one day and then don't eat the next day for the most part. But it's so funny that her argument is like, oh, people who get shamed for being skinny, it's just an aesthetic argument. So it's not as bad. But it's like, no, that makes it worse, because that means that by your logic, you're understanding that there isn't just an aesthetic factor with fat people. There's a health factor. And like it's not good to shame people. But if we're going to compare these two things, like, it's more justifiable to shame unhealthy people than healthy people.
Some assumptions we have about people in fat bodies that
they're
we
usually
don't
unhealthy
place on thin people, even if they're thin beyond health.
Because yes we do. Shut up. That's not true. I hate that argument, dude. Every single person who's like super anorexic absolutely gets shamed. Are you kidding me, bro? There's like nobody, bro. You know that's true. Anorexic people get shamed. Like, that's the problem too. Is that, like, that's even worse, because usually when people are that skinny, it's a mental health condition, which, by the way, I think it should be some kind of mental health condition to eat to a point where you're killing yourself, but that's a whole fucking thing. But most of the time when we talk about skinny, we're talking about, like, this girl versus this girl. We're not talking about, like, a fucking, like, my pinky, you know?
And it really makes it so that fat people are overlooked, and it creates an environment.
There's no way to overlook fat people, bro. You can't even see what's behind me.
Where it's okay to perpetuate hate and even violence, you know?
Being thin won't limit you from...
I don't know, man. Like, I'm sure there's instances of violence against fat people, but I don't know that I've heard of widespread violence against fat people. It's mostly like, ew, you're gross. And you want to know what you know what the most interesting thing is, though? Is that I feel like we don't have that much of a problem with the way that society perceives fat people versus skinny people. I think what we have is a problem with kids being super pieces of shit. Can anybody here give me like a positive high school experience? Probably not, because kids are brutal with everything. That's the bigger problem. So you have fat people who grew up fat that got super shamed for like dumb bullshit when they were in high school, and they carried those feelings into their modern day lives, and now they feel like everybody that looks at them is judging them even when they're not. That, I think, is the bigger problem, where fucking kids are such pieces of shit. Like, they'll bully, bro. Like, if you are sitting in school and your butt cracks out a little bit, you're a social pariah that needs to die. But in like the real world, when you see that, you're like, oop, a little gross, and you move on. But people develop, like, I'm not gonna say PTSD, but they develop like frustrations from having, like, being criticized for a small thing in their life, and they keep it with them their whole life. And I feel like that's the bigger problem. I feel like people could deal with their problems more if kids weren't such bully fucks. That's a big problem.
Being able to shop where you want to shop. You can walk into a clothing store, get clothes right off the rack. Sometimes even have excess. You could go up or down the rack.
I mean, this is just your fucking problem. I'm fat too, and yeah, I get it. It's hard to find clothing, but like, I get it. It's difficult to find clothing, but your argument's like, hey, I can't find clothes because most people aren't obese like me. It's like, okay, sorry. I'm also 6'4", and I have trouble finding pairs of shoes because I have a super wide foot. I wear a 14.4E. But you don't see me going like, oh my god, there's some kind of systemic oppression against my ability to get a fucking shoe. You know what I mean? Like, we have to stop with the systemic oppression argument when it comes to fat people. I just find it to be so stupid.
In my experience, those are not my options. I shop online because I wear a size 15 shoe.
Yeah, see, like, your weight, though, I don't think has much to do with your foot size. So, like, oh, well, like, people mostly just don't have that thing.
Because I'm 6'2" and I have a very broad body.
The skinny shaming, there is that backhanded compliment. You see that all the time. But when it comes to the fat shaming, you just see more.
Yeah, you are seeing more and more clothing that's accessible to people now that we have more normalized fat people. The new complaint is like, oh, well, bigger clothing is more expensive. And it's like, yeah, well, part of that's because it's more material. Part of it's because they are stores that are specifically for fat people, and they charge they upprice the fuck out of their goods just so that they can take money from fat people because they know they have nowhere else to go. So I think that's the bigger problem, though, is predatory, fat clothing stores that jack up prices because they're like, where are you gonna go? That's the big problem, and they have horrible quality
Out of it, and I just, it's horrible.
Like, what's the name of that fat store? Forget. There's one that was by me, and it's like so expensive. It's terrible.
To see.
But being fat is still taboo, believe it or not.
Yeah.
My partner and I'm a gay man dating another fat black gay man.
Okay.
And we have
What does this blackness have to do with the fat? Okay, whatever. Just keep going. I gotta
gone
stop.
viral on the internet a couple times. And you know
cool.
what some of the comments were? Never seen two fat people together. I get pats on the back.
What? Dude, I hate the argument. He's like, you know what some people said when we went viral on the internet? Hey, you want to know what some people said to me when I went viral on the internet? Kill yourself, because it's the internet. Yeah, Torrid's dog shit. I don't know what DXL is. Big and Tall is very good, though. Very high quality. At least in my experience. But, I hate, you can't do that. You can't be like, hey, I made it viral on the internet, and then I got criticized. Like, yeah, people do it all the time. People are scum fucks. But, like, you can't look at he said some of them. So he's looking at the minority of the things that are being said, and he's passing that off as, like, the majority. And it's like, come on, bro, really?
For posting a picture. And
all fat people date each other. It's just normal. My fucking wife is overweight. Like, she's hot as hell, but we're both overweight. It's fine. Like, mostly people do that.
Beach with no shirt on. Why am I being patted on the back for that?
Right.
Why are you being patted on the back? Wait, did you hear what he just said?
Back for posting a picture at the beach. Never seen two fat people together. I get pats on the back for posting a picture at the beach with no shirt on. Why am I being patted on the back for that?
Because of the fucking body positivity movement. What do you mean? Like, what? That criticism is of your own movement. What the fuck are you? Isn't it so weird that fat people get patted on the back just for being fat and shirtless? Yes! That's very weird. That's one of the problems with, like, the modern fucking with the fat positivity movement. That's one of the problems. It shouldn't be glorified that you're fat or brave. Like, just leave me alone. That's the message. If I'm out in public with my shirt off, don't talk to me or look at me and make a comment about my fucking weight. That's the message.
Right.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I hope one of them just goes, bro, you're so fat. Which is kind of
When I
funny.
hear fat shaming, skinny shaming, all that stuff, I just think back to like middle school, high school, picking on kids. It's bullying. I believe everyone goes through body dysmorphia. One of my homegirls is
This guy has severe mental
model,
problems or something. I'm not.
and she's always
he just
complaining how
he has like severe like hangups with his body, bro. Like this guy seems like he might actually need treatment. I don't know. That's just what I'm getting. I mean, he's doing outrageous diets and he's talking about how much he hates himself. This guy's gonna be on the news in like a month.
she doesn't like the way she looks, even though like 99% of all women would probably prefer they looked like her. She hates the way she looks.
Yeah, that sounds like a problem.
She's like, I wish my boobs were bigger. I wish my butt was bigger. I believe, that's the media, that's the entertainment industry, is they have a standard of what, at the end of the day, is desired, I guess, but not everyone's built like Marilyn Monroe.
You said 99% of women would probably want to look like her. That's to me, some of the language that is the problem.
Why?
Is that I'm assuming that she's
Girls usually want bigger boobs and butts.
probably of a thinner body,
Fair.
right? Because she's a model, but a lot of women don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
What
Your
is that?
body you are the standard. You are the model. You are
Yeah.
the beauty. Like the fact that we think like that already is still what the problem is, and it's still why, to me, fat shaming is worse than the skinny shaming.
I disagree with that, but I feel like we're on the wrong page here. It's interesting that when we have problems in life with the way that we perceive things, the answer is to not perceive those things instead of shut the fuck up, right? So if you're somebody that looks at a fat person and goes, ew, that's gross, this guy would say, well, you need to not think fat people are gross anymore, right? Now, that sounds nice, but realistically speaking, you're not going to do that because you're an asshole. So instead of the narrative being, hey, you should change your entire framing of thought around a thing, the narrative needs to be, keep your mouth shut. Just shut the fuck up. It doesn't have to be this philosophical conversation about everything. A lot of times it's just like, don't talk. Just keep your mouth shut. That's it. That's what we need to say. Hey, if you look at a thing and you think it's gross, shut up. Okay. That's much more realistic and practical.
Because like even our language, I know people just desire this really thin body.
Yeah.
It's like that's the language in the language. When I get negative comments about my relationship with my partner, I kind of like to troll back. For example, if I tweet a picture of us kissing or dancing,
Ew.
people will spew the homophobic slurs and stuff. So I like to then just share more pictures of us kissing and really double down into it and let them know, honey,
Okay, that sounds nice.
we're here to stay. The girls are not going anywhere, and just letting them know that I'm confident in myself. I'm happy.
I mean, I like the attitude. I respect the attitude. I just don't particularly care for the rhetoric outside of it, but I respect that.
I'm in love and I'm living my life.
All right, that's cool.
I don't think I've ever been shamed
Shorter life, but okay.
for my body. I was always moving. I was always, I stayed fit my whole life. To be a fitness influencer, you have to have that image, that skinny, fit, toned look.
Why is she so like? You see how she's sitting? She's like really tense. She's like this. Maybe she has no neck, but why is she so tense?
That's really not.
I feel like a lot of these like fit influencers feel like they're going to be socially shamed if they're honest about what they have to say and think, which is kind of a problem where people feel like they can't even express a reasonable perspective anymore.
The case. If you have the knowledge, if you have the passion to want to help people with their fitness journey, it doesn't matter. I highly believe that.
I feel pressure to look a certain way for my followers.
Yeah, me too. That's why I got this fucking amazing body. Boom.
Yeah, I started.
This guy needs to go to a fucking hospital, bro.
I'm a fat kid losing weight, man.
This guy needs to go to a hospital,
I got an
bro.
expectation to uphold. I get people all the
Psychiatric
time,
Help this
haters
man. Help this
that
man,
are like,
please.
oh, he's gonna quit, crash diet, blah blah blah. But then, there's kids that tell me, you got me out of bed today. You're the best person on the internet. Like, I love you.
I do have a license to conceal carry these. Boom. Not bad.
If I can motivate someone, one person a day, to do something, to better themselves,
Okay, very cool.
I'm gonna do everything in my power to keep myself going. And that means not quitting. And that means looking a certain way, always developing, always
I
growing.
respect that. Okay.
And, because if I quit, I'm letting down thousands of people.
Okay.
I used to feel a lot of pressure, but I think with
This is the first time this Alan's talked to us.
practice, you get over those pressures, you learn how to deal with it and understand that the pressure is really from yourself. It's internalized. Like you're thinking about what others think of you when in reality they could care less. They don't even see the little things.
That's exactly it. I think we should stop worrying about what other people think.
I don't care.
But it's so hard. I mean, like I could say that every day and
It is.
I still think about what people think.
It's a
It is.
boring
We
question.
all do. We all do. But that's something that is a good challenge for all of us. You know, that's something that we need to really just try. And once we get on that road, it's not easy.
Who's not bored with this part of the video?
We're gonna have days where we're just gonna be like, oh, geez,
You know what I'm
it's not a
saying?
thing. But if we can get past that, even just a little bit.
Oh, you
it's
want
just gonna
them a
make our lives
chopped
easier,
picture?
You know,
Yeah.
just stop worrying about other people. Worry about yourself. Okay.
I also just feel like, like everybody else, this is my account, and you are a guest here. I have had to learn to not be that way. So, and for Nick, I understand that, your social media and your journey is very different.
This is
But
the
I
picture
could
you wanted to
clearly
see?
how people
Yeah,
will follow
that's
and
me.
have for you to continue to lose the weight. It's like, okay, well, we joined this guy so that we can join his journey on his weight loss. So if we want to see him doing the weight loss, like, you better not like plateau or gain. I could definitely see
Here's
that.
the Dr.
It's a
Drew
sense of
one.
accountability, and it really helps me keep
Geo
pressure going.
Drew,
Otherwise,
and
I
this
would
is
drop
the
out, to be
Weedle
honest. And I don't do like
Vegas.
this is how to do a curl and things like that. I just do like how I feel. I sort of have a self-deprecating outlook on myself and how I feel, and it's sort of like a military style thing.
Yeah,
Like,
this
crash,
part's boring,
like, you'll
right?
never be good. Just give up type thing to myself.
I think that's interesting that you say that because the content that I post is not just for people. It's mostly for me, and it's part of my own. It's cathartic to see myself in like sweating, like trying to do a headstand and falling, or looking glam for an event, and everything between. So being authentic and like showing up as I am, whether people like it or not, or expecting it or not, is an exercise in self-love. It helps me accept myself. I was really shy as a kid, and also overweight or fat.
I'm gonna skip her thing too, because she's boring
Like
also.
that's a lot of the bullying I got, right? Yeah, I don't think I dealt with it well. It wasn't until later in life where I started to kind of reject that narrative.
Weight loss programs are toxic.
All right, weight loss programs are toxic. That was the next one. Now, this is an interesting one because there can be a lot of weight loss programs that are very toxic, right? The best weight loss programs, and all on like, there's really two different ways that you can go, and it depends on how serious you need to do it. The direction number one is your body can auto-regulate, and these are for the positives. The negatives we'll talk about after. The one first is like, hey, listen, guys, if you eat better, if you eat more nutrient-dense food, like I was talking about before, like brown carbs and shit, and like vegetables, your body isn't going to be as hungry because you're having more nutrient-dense foods. So you don't have to do anything except for eat better, and a lot of times your body will regulate. However, some people still overeat, and then you have to say, like, listen, you should track your calories at a reasonable amount. Doesn't mean you have to eat fucking 1,200 calories. But if you take a week and you track everything you ate, and it turns out that in that week you ate an average of 2,500 calories, you can cut down to 2,000 calories and you'll be okay, right? However, a lot of other weight loss programs try to sell you on this like ridiculous idea that all you have to do is drink a bunch of juice for a week and not eat and you'll be like totally fine forever. If a diet isn't sustainable, then it's not a diet. It needs to be something you could do forever. You can't just do a fucking juice cleanse for the rest of your life. So you can't do that. So it depends on how you interpret it. Generally, I would interpret a weight loss program as a negative because usually they're bullshit. But a lot of them can be positive. Or rather, you get what I'm saying. There can be positive ones, but those aren't programs. Those are just like, hey, eat better and maybe track your calories. People, that's too simple for people. A lot of times as human beings, we feel like things need to be really complicated for us to accept them as solutions. You know, it's a really good weight loss program, though. Getting a tapeworm works all the time, 100% of the time.
Fitness promoters are promoting these weight loss programs or these diets that aren't working for everyone. And it's kind of sad to see because it's really affecting people and like the
Somebody
way
just fart?
Promoters are promoting these weight loss programs or these diets that aren't working for everyone. And it's kind of sad to see because it's really affecting people and like
wow, that was a heavy fart, dude. Jesus Christ.
The way they see fitness and health, and it's toxic.
I think, and the focus is always, or it seems to be like, just lose the weight, just lose the weight, just lose the weight, and then you'll be happy and everything will be okay and you'll feel good and you'll fit into that.
It's good
but
criticism.
It's like, whoa, I can lose all that weight and I could still be miserable.
It's not even just that. It's like the way, see, I would embellish on that and say it's not even just like the lose the weight narrative. It's the how you lose the weight. You got it's a lifelong commitment to be healthy. So, you need to do something you can live with. So take it easy.
In my journey, one of my biggest points is I do not use a scale because goals to me are limitations. And when you hit that goal, you get comfortable.
What?
AKA complacent. You're like, oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds and then I'm good. And
Well, I feel like you can set your goal to something else. If your goal is to lose 10 pounds and you lose it, of course you're going to feel good. But if you say, like, I want to lose 50 pounds and you measure by 5 pounds and you're like, yeah, I did it, then that's different. This is a weird. This guy's fucking dude. This guy's a little weird.
So I don't focus on the weight. I focus on everything else. I focus on, you know, getting out of bed, that routine.
Yeah, working out does help with anxiety and depression. It gets you out moving, moves your muscles. I think it releases like whatever fucking serotonin or dopamine or whatever the mental whatever the hell it is.
Routine of going to the gym, the routine of
you just have to find something that you like.
eating healthy, that normal feeling of like a caloric deficit and things like that.
That's a good way to do it too. I'm a fitness trainer too, and I tell my clients, I'm like, the scale really doesn't tell you much.
Well, it tells you
water weight. It's a lot to it.
Sure, but like generally, if you weigh, like if you weigh yourself every week or every other week or every month, like it'll tell you for the most part. And if you stay consistent, like water weight, like if you're eating the same diet for the most part, your water weight's not going to fluctuate if you measure it every like the specific time. So let's say I did it every week and I was eating this very similar diet and I did it when I woke up in the morning, so I was a little dehydrated. If as long as you do it at the same time, like you're going to meet the similar conditions, so you can see if you lose weight. If you're really fat, obviously it's easier to track it because you're losing more weight more easily. If you're skinny, maybe weigh yourself once a month. But I feel like it's like a weird thing to be like, don't weigh yourself. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like if the goal is to lose weight, especially if you're really fat, you should be weighing yourself somewhat often. You shouldn't weigh yourself more than once a week.
You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to see those physical changes.
I don't even think it's the physical changes, because I'm gonna be straight up. I probably had body dysmorphia for a little bit, and I would.
I don't think that you had body. I don't think that you have body dysmorphia for a little bit. Yeah, I had autism for a little bit, and then it went away. I don't really think that's how body dysmorphia works. Like, it's not something that comes and goes. It's just like I didn't mean to suggest autism was. That meant that like you. I feel like that's like a diagnosable thing. No, you might have had like frustrations with your body, but is body dysmorphia something that you would just be like, yeah, I had that for a while. Yeah, I was like a heroin addict for a little. I got over it. That was not a big. It wasn't too hard. Like, there was no struggle. It's like what.
I always like check myself in the mirror. You know, like after eating, I would check myself because I wanted to keep a six-pack because the fitness industry told me that I needed a six-pack. You hear fitness influencer and like the first thing you think is like weight loss program, selling a course. And I purposely wore this shirt this morning just to see like if there would be any bias.
I gotta get to the gym and make myself a workout YouTube.
One thing I noticed about fitness, being in this space for so long, is that just because you're into fitness doesn't mean you're into health.
Show you guys what it's all about. That's true though. He's got a good point though. There are people who are fit that are in hell. I was talking about before, so people just go fucking ballistic.
I told everyone that I dealt with body dysmorphia, and I think in terms of dealing with it, it's just learning that my value is not completely
I didn't think body dysmorphia
appearance.
goes away.
There's so many other things that I can see value in myself now.
Yeah, my value is 100% my appearance. That's what everybody watches me for. I'm so sexy.
The autonomy I have over my own health and my own wellness.
I have suffered from eating disorders.
This is a question. Bro, I really feel like I think that if you're really overweight and you are suffering from some kind of eating disorder, man. I'm just saying, man. We just don't usually categorize it. I'm assuming all of them are going to say they didn't eat enough at some point.
I didn't realize it until a couple years after, but I was tracking like every food. I did track calories, macros. Man, I had my scale and I would bring it like to the...
I don't see, this is what I'm saying. Like, this guy's like, yeah, I tracked my calories. That's an eating disorder. It's not. I used to track my calories too. I used to eat anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500 calories a day, and I would lose 3 pounds a week. I was very active and very fit for my size. And it's like, that wasn't an eating disorder. That was just helping me not overeat. And like, you know what? I would eat pretty healthy, and then sometimes I just wouldn't. But I would just stay within my calories. So I would go to McDonald's. I would still enjoy what I was eating. I just wouldn't eat too much. Then I had a cheat day once a week too. I did a lot, actually, and I still would lose a lot of weight every week.
The college's dining hall, I would like weigh everything, and it would get to the point where I would either eat before going out, like if I knew my friends were gonna go out to eat, I would eat at home so I could measure all the food out, put it into MyFitnessPal, and then go out and not eat with them, or I would probably just not go out at all.
Or you could go out and you can look at the calories on the menu. This is what I'm talking about. This is a good counting calories is a reasonable diet. This guy just didn't do it the right way.
Food and fitness really took over my life for a few years. I was super, super obsessed with just getting that goal weight or looking good and everything like that. And I found myself just super depressed. And I, didn't eat the foods I wanted to eat. And I overexercised and I wasn't myself. It was just a horrible point in my life. And I had to go see a doctor. I had to get that help. Mentally, I wasn't there. So
You guys are insane.
these things are real. Like, this stuff happens and people don't reach
Jesus
out enough.
Christ.
The last time I had really restricted my eating,
Yeah, see, it's going to be all about restrictive eating. But if you're my thing is we don't talk about it enough because nobody classifies overeating to the point of like having physical health problems. Nobody considers that an eating disorder. Why? If you're eating yourself to death, why isn't that some kind of a disorder?
needed to lose like
Especially since fat people are always talking about how addictive food is, which I agree. I think especially in America, we have very predatory, like I think fast foods make very addictive food intentionally. Sugar, there's a lot of studies that suggest sugar is as addictive as like heroin or cocaine and like other hard drugs. It's insane, but like we don't consider those disorders or something. You know what I'm saying?
almost 30 pounds in like 11 days, and I did that. And I stepped on the wrestling mat and I had absolutely no strength. I had no energy, no strength. I got whooped. I got tossed up and down the mat. And then after that, I told myself that I would never do it again. But of course, out of bad habits, I just picked up another bad habit and then began to enjoy binge eating. And then it was like, okay, well, now I'm not restricting anything and now everything goes.
And how are you now?
Now I'm much better. Therapy, medication, everyday practicing, doing the right kinds of things. I'm much better now.
I suffered from an eating disorder. I had childhood trauma, and it took me until my adulthood to realize I was pacifying with food. And
Okay,
that's
thank God. Yeah, somebody's talking about it. Like,
something
okay.
that was
Well,
taught.
not thank God that she had the trauma. I'm sorry. I just meant that someone's talking about overeating as a disorder. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
To me. And then on the other end of that, with extreme dieting, like I did the HCG protocol where you eat 500 calories a day and give yourself an injection.
That's fucking dumb. It's an extremely so the HCG diet uses an extremely low calorie intake to achieve dramatic weight loss. The Food and Drug Administration has deemed the diet dangerous, illegal, and fraudulent. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think 1,200 is a minimum you're supposed to eat, but even that's low, I think, for a lot of people.
For months on end. And so I have done the full spectrum.
The 500 calorie diet, was that something with like a medical professional that they recommended?
Yeah.
I feel like she's lying only because of the way that she said that.
Like a medical professional that they recommended?
Maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of came off as a lie, but
how was
who
that?
knows?
Like, I can.
It was traumatic. It drove me into a spiral. Like I can relate to what you're saying about like bringing your scale and eating before you went out with your friends, because that was me. It's really, it's taken so much time for me to get to a point.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I don't think the issue is people being fat. It's the issue that advocating that fat is healthy. That's what I would
know
agree
what I
with that,
like
yeah.
to eat.
And people that are fat not being honest about the health conditions that they have and not being honest about the difficulty that it is, how difficult it is to be fat and healthy.
And it took me until like 25, 30 to even realize, okay, I don't actually like eating that. I actually don't like this. I like this. And it's been really healing to like reclaim my relationship with food and to say like, okay, this is what I like and this is what makes me feel really good.
As a fitness
I wish that I could have a relationship with like a hamburger. You know what I mean? Like a sexy hamburger that I could like nibble on and stuff. That'd be hot.
influencer, what are some things I can do that helps out the other side, which would be fat influencers? What are like certain things that you guys promote that you could see me promoting?
Really want people to stop looking at fat people and all of a sudden becoming medical professionals and telling me about high blood pressure and diabetes, because again, you're not a medical professional, right? Like,
Well, high blood pressure and diabetes are problems in fat people more than anybody else. Like it is a problem.
let's let the fat people do the mukbangs too, Like if you want to do one, that is so cool. But if
Well, yeah, that's fine for people to do mukbangs. I just feel like generally speaking, like I feel like this guy probably has experiences that are very different from the majority of fat people with things. And he's like, yeah, like I'm doing a mukbang, but I'm also really healthy because I work out. He seems to be the kind of guy that like goes and he's active. It's like, yeah, that's great. And I understand people criticize you and they're annoying, but most fat people are not doing those things. And it comes back again to like the interpretation of words. So when somebody says like fat can be healthy, from like my perspective, it's like, yeah, as long as you're dieting and exercising and eating as well as possible, for sure. But then other people are like, yeah, I'm fat and this is fine. It's like, no, you're eating a cheeseburger every day.
If that person wants to do one, let us just do it in peace. You know, that would be my takeaway. Because you never know what we're doing behind the scenes. You don't know how many therapists, how many doctors, dietitians. You have no idea how many things that we've had.
I want to know a little bit more about the beauty standard on, we're in 2021 and it's not like back in the day now. Are we making the right direction? Is that good?
I think it's reactive. It's good. Like, visibility is important. I've talked about this before earlier. I think that we all deserve to be represented, no matter what we look like, no matter what the status of our health. We should all see ourselves in the world. So I think, there is progress being made. There are brands that are making sizes that more people can wear. We are seeing body diversity on magazines and things like that. But it's very reactive, and it's very tied into commerce and marketing. So,
yes, because there's a demand for a thing. I don't understand. I don't understand what like the point there is. It's like, people are desiring a thing, so we're going to provide it. It's like, no, I think people should just do a thing before anybody wants it. Like, what's your point? I mean, I feel like it's like a weird point. Like, I get it. Like, you can't expect to be represented if you're it's a weird thing. It's like, hey, there's more overweight people on magazines because there's been social outreach to put them. It's like, great. But it's like, but that wasn't soon enough? Like, it just feels like you're never going to be happy with the way that we're shifting.
Is it real? I don't know. But it's part of our culture, and it's slowly shifting for whatever reason, like regardless. It will eventually have an impact on society as a whole. So yes and no.
Is it going to promote people to think it's okay to be overweight?
Here's the thing. People have been fat since people have existed.
Yeah.
It's a bad argument. What a dog shit fucking argument.
I don't think that showing us as we are is going to have a negative impact. We are here.
Then why are we grossly more obese? You don't think that there's a factor there? You don't think that there's a factor of glorifying fat people and calling them brave for being fat is why people are as fat? It's a factor. The other factors are how we have unregulated fast food industries. There are food deserts in the United States, especially because we have like horrible wealth distribution. We do have like mental health problems, of course, and people learning to use food as a coping mechanism. We're not teaching our young people to cook their own food. There's a lot of problems here. We don't even actually like truly educate kids on the way how to diet properly and correctly. There's a lot of factors, but I don't think that it's helpful when you glorify obesity by saying it's okay to be fat without the context of it's hard though, and it's usually unhealthy.
We have always been here. You can go to the Louvre and see sculptures of fat people. Fat people have always been around.
But back then, first of all, they didn't have a in-depth understanding of the way that food would hurt your health. Second of all, back then, being fat meant you had a lot of money because it was hard to eat that much. Nowadays, you can just go fucking binge eat McDonald's and you're fine. So you can't really say things like that.
And a fitness influencer, it's good to see that perspective from everyone too. We all have our differences, but as long as we stay on the path that we want to stay on, healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, we're going to be okay. And it's okay to get help. It always is okay to get help.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Interesting video. I always love watching the videos about fat people because you guys love it because you're a bunch of assholes.